Welcome to Can I Get a Retake, where education meets innovation. Every month, we host conversations with the thinkers, teachers, and researchers shaping the world around us. We hope you tune in, get inspired, and join the conversation. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
We'll start it off easy and just ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, believe it or not, I'm here at the University of Hawaii. I've been teaching business law and a number of other subjects, but business law for 35 odd years. So otherwise, I'm just here on an island trying to cause not too much trouble.
Could you share a little bit about how you went from law into teaching?
Well, I have both an MBA and a law degree, and then later did another degree in governance. I had practiced in Hawaii. I came from Austin, Texas, my home, to Honolulu and began practicing, and then began teaching as an adjunct and fell into teaching and liked that so much more. Spent a couple of years in Micronesia, helping to set up a new court for one of the new states of the Federated States of Micronesia. So a few detours along the way, but practice does have its definite moments. But I think teaching, just in general, for most lawyers who like to talk, is offers a lot of satisfaction.
When you did eventually start writing your title with GRL, what was that experience like?
The experience itself was good. I enjoyed working with the editors, including some of the more senior folks who we discussed, beginning with the structure of the text and how an e-text could break away from some of the constraints of a physical text. It may be a bit more challenging in law. The business law text, and this might tie into some other discussions, the business law texts at the time, I've used several, they were easily 1,500 pages. The result being that students are going to read little or even none of that. So how do we reconnect with the students? And I think we came to a relatively easily achievable structure that was simple for students, and giving them the ability to navigate through the text to find what they needed. Because I think one of the challenges, and certainly with the first edition, before the second and third, where we ended up with very long pages, and so that became a bit of an issue. But again, the ability of an e-text to hyperlink, break up, create new pages, new paths, offers really quite a bit of flexibility that's just not present in a physical text. Plus, which physically carrying it for students, I don't know that they do that much anymore, but they're heavy.
So already up to 3 editions. So you've seen it from beginning to several iterations now. Do you have any advice for someone that might be considering authoring with us, knowing what you know now?
This was really the question when I was asked, I think it was 2016, to write the text, and it was a real decision to make. And I think it boiled down to a couple of things, but one was that the business law texts were, it was not only that they were too big, they were basically like mini law school, or in the case of other subjects, mini grad school. And it's too much even for us. And in the military would be called a fire hose effect. Basically, it's just too much that hits the neophyte too quickly, and so it's difficult to have a sense of a framework that connects with them. Plus, when you're talking about something that is not naturally in their lives, they've not dealt with court procedure or something like that, other than seeing it on CSI on TV. The real challenge, I think, was that that most of the texts, and especially most of the publisher's resources, were too much. And by that I mean they were too detailed. So the instructor essentially had a challenge of either choosing too many worksheets or summaries or whatever it is for the students to complete, which soon became an overload for them, or to try and select from a too finite set of discussions the handful that are most important. So I think it was not an optimal experience for students. And so after some thinking about that, I decided to go through with it, and also thinking about the the creative side, which is the most fun. How can how can a subject be broken down in such a way that it is better for students, but also more logical, especially as a survey course? I think we make a mistake many times as instructors to assume that students are as interested as we are or as prepared to go through it. And it shouldn't be a question of edutainment where we have to entertain them just to keep their interest, but at the same time, it should be highlighting the most important aspects. So that was the approach with the first edition. And in that process, it was again an open process with more than one editor at GRL that allowed for that creative structure to solidify. And instead of having what was the norm, so I'll choose one text in particular, and I liked it very much, but it was 52 chapters. And there is no way that a text of 52 chapters is going to be given justice, so to speak, in a single semester. It just can't happen. So you're either going to gloss over certain elements or go too heavily into detail and they get bogged down. So I think the real point is there are several keys in a decision as to whether one would go about publishing a text. Maybe the quantum of nerdiness and the interest in actually doing it is one. The professional rewards, such as they are in terms of an authorship, and that is actually a genuine question. It really boils down perhaps to the question of whether there's genuine value added for the students, and and then from there, it almost is like writing out what we know and say over a semester. So it is work. There's no question. But I think there's the final benefit, which is that until you do a text, you won't recognize how much you're kind of surfing over others' work. So when you're going through and confirming every single point, it's easy to say something is true, but then you have to say, well, how do I know it's true? And what exactly am I relying upon in this statement? It is a process that is really quite interesting, and again goes to the nerdiness content or quantum, how interested you are in confirming even minor elements in your own discipline. And I think that helps itself not only in terms of the students having a sense that you might just know what you're talking about, but also in the sense that you've literally written it, and so speaking to it is really quite a bit easier. So perhaps particularly for an academic who's just starting out. Clearly, you need to be doing a number of writing and research projects, but this can be a good one to establish yourself. And also, there's another element, which is potentially joining forces with another co-author, which can have both practical and also academic benefits. Practical in terms of writing and publishing is not just an exercise in knowledge. It very much is a business, and it relates to the realities that getting a text in front of other instructors is not an easy process. We're all busy. We've all seen countless, take a look here, emails, and it's difficult to break through. So again, it goes to that point of value added. What can we add for students? What can we do to make their lives better? And at the end of the day, rather than this classroom just being an exercise, to borrow from the old Soviet expression, teachers pretend to teach and students pretend to learn. That's not what it should be about. It should be about helping students to walk away years after they've forgotten everything that they had tried to memorize for a quiz, and they actually have a deeper sense of the topic. And that's something that can be done with a text, I think. Making it really quite a process.
If I ran into a student of yours that maybe had your course 5 years ago, and I said, hey, what did you think of this course? What did you take away from that? What would you hope they'd say?
I actually I keep, I guess, a running log of various comments, including comments on the text. What I have heard, and I think what a good response from a student is that there is that spark of getting it, of having a sense of what it means. And again, that can be aided with the power of electronics. The reality, I think, for most students, and I think we ought to get into their, not just their minds, but their perspectives. They are inundated with input from every direction. They're on their phones 24/7. It's not healthy, but that is the reality. They're overtasked, they're overstimulated, they've got a lot going on, and there we throw at them an overly structured, highly boring approach, and it's not going to work, and it's going to turn them off. So I think that's part of our challenge, just in terms of academics. Our task is to figure out ways that we can turn them on, meaning that they have a grasp of the importance of a topic, and that they have a sense of its majesty, whatever that is. So it may be the greatest compliment that students don't appreciate what they are seeing until later. They won't have a sense truly of the value of any single course until later. And then perhaps the final point is, there are some subjects that we go through as students and we don't expect much out of it. We don't expect to like it, but it's usually the way that the material is presented. Often it's the person who's presenting it, but the text can be part of that. And most texts, to be perfectly honest, are off-putting. They're not going to be drawing the students in. Most of them are going to be simply, vomiting information at the students, and nobody likes that. But again, it goes to how we can design texts that have that reference for students that will be more helpful to them in the immediate, and we hope very much into the future.
We thank you for joining us and for being our partner and for helping us, touch students in a different way.
Well, thank you both very much. And as we would say here, aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. If you enjoyed the latest episode of Can I Get a Retake and would like to receive a heads up when the next podcast drops, make sure to hit that notification bell after subscribing to our Great River Learning YouTube channel. Our mission is to inspire and educate those in higher education, one insightful conversation at a time. So until next time, thank you for watching and keep thinking beyond the book.